All right, so let's jump into this deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at just a single source. It's a motivational speech, and it was given at the start of 2025. And we're really going to try to pull out all wisdom that we can from it. So picture this, it's New Year's Day,
Mhm.
a fresh start, and the speaker is urging everyone to stand tall and never give up.
It is interesting how this speech it uses the analogy of a tree weathering a storm to like represent resilience. We'll definitely unpack that metaphor a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure. But first, let's get to the heart of it. What does it really mean to stand tall? Obviously, it's going to be more than just
Yeah.
like good posture.
Well, you'll notice the speaker emphasizes that standing tall is
Mm-hmm.
about cultivating this inner strength.
Yeah.
It's about facing the challenges head on with resilience,
Hula.
confidence, and determination.
I see how that will resonate, especially if you're starting something new or going through a tough time. It's like, okay, universe, bring it on. I'm ready.
Exactly. And they really lean into this idea of 2025
Yeah.
being like this unique opportunity, almost like a blank slate to rewrite your narrative.
It's funny how we always attach so much significance to a new year, right? Like it's magically going to erase all our past struggles. And suddenly, everything's going to be perfect.
Well, the speaker doesn't shy away from the fact that we all carry baggage, those mental and emotional hurdles that can trip us up.
For sure, like fear of failure, self-doubt, past experiences that make us hesitant to try again. Those are some heavy burdens.
I mean, think about it. We often get so caught up in like external challenges that we overlook the internal ones. But these inner obstacles, things like imposter syndrome, or even just plain old fatigue, can be just as debilitating.
It's like there's this constant inner monologue just telling us we're not good enough, not ready, that will just mess things up again.
And that's where the tree analogy comes in. You see, they're not just saying, be tough, ignore those feelings. It's more like they're suggesting that we understand the different parts of ourselves that contribute to our resilience, just like a tree has different components that help it withstand a storm.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So break it down for us. How do the parts of a tree relate to our own inner strength?
Well, let's start with the roots. The speaker links them to our values, our dreams, and self-belief. I mean, think about it. If a tree has a shallow root system, it's much more likely to just topple over.
Yeah.
A strong wind, right?
Yeah.
So if we're not grounded in something deeper, those doubts and fears
Yeah.
can really knock us off course.
So basically, if you're clear about what you stand for, what your goals are, and you truly believe in your abilities, you have a much stronger foundation to weather any storm. It makes you wonder, though, how do we actually cultivate deeper roots? How do we strengthen our self-belief when we're constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we're not enough?
That is such a critical question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. It's about introspection, identifying those negative thought patterns, and actively challenging them. Sometimes it even requires seeking support from like a therapist or a coach.
So it's not just about willpower or
Okay.
positive thinking. It's about actively rewiring our brains to be more resilient.
Exactly. And this leads us to the next part of the tree analogy, the foundation. The speaker uses this to represent the lessons we've learned and the strength we've built from past experiences.
Well, hold on. You're saying that our setbacks actually contribute to our strength. But sometimes those failures, they feel so demoralizing. How can we possibly see them as something positive?
It's not about ignoring the pain or pretending that failures don't matter. It's about reframing our perspective.
Okay.
Every time we fall, we have a choice. We can stay down or we can get back up,
Huh.
dust ourselves off, and learn from what happened.
That's a good point. But isn't it human nature to want to avoid those negative experiences altogether? We're kind of wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Of course. But if we're constantly trying to avoid any discomfort or challenge, we'll never truly grow. Think about athletes pushing themselves to their limits. They experience pain and fatigue, but they also experience this incredible satisfaction of achieving something that they didn't think was possible.
I see what you mean. So roots represent our values and beliefs. The foundation is about learning from our experiences. What about the trunk of the tree, though?
That's where it gets really interesting. The trunk is our core, the part that connects our roots and foundation, allowing us to stand tall. And what
Huh.
does a tree do with its trunk? It reaches for the sun.
Ah, I see where this is going. So we're not just surviving, we're supposed to be thriving, aiming high, going after our dreams.
Yes, and that's a great segue to the next section of the speech,
Mm.
where the speaker talks about the power of persistence.
Okay, so we're rooted in our values. We're building a solid foundation from our experiences. And we're reaching for the sun. But how do we actually make all of that happen? It's easy to get all fired up by motivational speech. But then real life kicks in, and those doubts start creeping back in.
You're hitting on a key point. The speaker doesn't try to sugarcoat things. They acknowledge that. The path to success is rarely a straight line. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, times when you just want to throw in the towel.
Ugh, tell me about it. It's like you hit one obstacle, and suddenly that inner critic is screaming at you, "I told you so."
And that's where the never give up part comes in. The speaker really hammers this point home. They argue that the urge to quit often comes right before breakthrough.
So you're saying that feeling of wanting to give up might actually be a sign
Right.
we're on the right track.
Think about it. When we're pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zone, it's natural to experience resistance. But sometimes that resistance is a signal that we're close to achieving something amazing.
That's an interesting way to look at it. It's like our brains are trying to protect us from failing, but they might actually be holding us back.
Exactly. And they actually give some examples in the speech of people who achieved success because they didn't give up when things got tough. They pushed through the doubt, the fatigue, the fear, and ultimately they triumphed.
So how do we cultivate that kind of grit, that never give up attitude?
Well, it's a combination of things. Part of it is self-awareness, recognizing those negative thought patterns that tell us to give up too easily. But it's also about developing mental strategies to counteract those thoughts.
Do you have any examples, like what can we actually do when we feel that urge to quit?
One powerful technique is reframing. Instead of viewing challenges as these insurmountable obstacles, try to see them as opportunities for growth.
You've mentioned reframing before. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I'm not sure I totally get how just changing our perspective can actually help us.
Sure. So think about it this way. If you go into a challenge thinking you're going to fail, you probably will. But if you can shift your perspective and see that challenge as a chance to learn and grow, you're more likely to approach it with a sense of curiosity and determination.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about when we actually do experience setbacks? Reframing a challenge is one thing, but how do we deal with that disappointment, that frustration of failure?
That's where self-compassion comes in. You're treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend.
So instead of beating ourselves up for making mistakes, we should be more forgiving, more supportive of ourselves.
Exactly. And remember, failure is a part of the process. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we respond to those setbacks that really matters.
This idea of learning from our mistakes reminds me of something else the speaker talked about, the importance of a support system. They argued that standing tall doesn't mean standing alone. We need people in our corner, cheering us on, picking us up when we fall.
Absolutely. Human connection is crucial, especially when we're facing challenges. Having a strong support system can make a world of difference.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders, reminding you of your strengths and helping you see the bigger picture when you're feeling lost.
Exactly. Think about the people in your life who inspire you, who believe in you, the people who make you feel like you can conquer anything.
Those are the people you want to surround yourself with, people who uplift you, who challenge you to grow, and who are there to celebrate your victories.
And it's not just about receiving support, it's about giving it too. Being a source of encouragement for others can actually strengthen your own resilience.
It's like a ripple effect. When we lift others up, we're also lifting ourselves up.
Exactly. And so the speaker ends with this powerful call to action. Take ownership of 2025.
It's like a challenge to really step into our power, to make bold decisions, pursue our passions, and create the life we truly want. But how do we take ownership? When so much feels outside of our control, the world can feel pretty unpredictable sometimes.
That's true. But they're not saying we can control everything that happens to us. It's more about focusing on the things we can control. Our choices, our actions, our responses to the things that happen.
So it's not about pretending that everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond.
Precisely. And that's where this whole theme of standing tall comes full circle. When we stand tall, we're not just enduring. We're actively choosing to face life with courage and determination, knowing that we have the power to shape our own destiny.
It's a powerful message. But it also feels a little daunting, like where do we even begin? It's a new year. There's so much potential.
Yeah.
but also so much pressure to get it right.
Well, the speaker doesn't lay out like a step-by-step plan or anything,
Yeah.
but they do emphasize the importance of taking action. Like, it's not enough to just listen to a motivational speech and feel inspired. You have to actually do something.
So it's about turning that initial burst of motivation into tangible steps, right? But how do we avoid getting overwhelmed by how big our goals are? It can be paralyzing to think about everything we need to do to achieve those big dreams.
The speaker suggests breaking those big goals down into smaller, more manageable steps. Like, instead of focusing on the entire mountain, just focus on the next step you need to take to start climbing.
So it's like creating a roadmap with smaller milestones along the way to help us reach our final destination.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate those smaller wins. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory.
That's a good point. It's easy to get so fixated on the end goal that we forget to appreciate the progress we're making.
The speaker also talks about the importance of self-reflection, like checking in with yourself regularly and asking, am I still aligned with my values? Are my goals still inspiring me? What adjustments do I need to make?
It's like taking a step back and making sure we're still heading in the right direction.
Exactly. And sometimes that might mean making some course corrections along the way. It's okay to adjust our goals, or even change them completely if we realize they're not serving us anymore.
So it's not about sticking to the plan no matter what. It's about being flexible and adapting to whatever life throws our way.
Exactly. The key is to stay connected to our core values and let those guide our decisions as we move forward.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about building inner strength, creating a solid foundation, reaching for our dreams, persevering through challenges, embracing support, taking ownership, and reflecting on our journey. If you could pick just one thing for our listeners to take away from this deep dive, what would it be?
I'd say the most important message is this. We all have the potential for incredible resilience and growth. Everyone faces challenges, but we also all have the inner resources to overcome them. It's a choice to stand tall and never give up.
I love that. It's not about being perfect
Yeah.
or avoiding failure altogether. It's about embracing the whole journey, the ups and the downs, and trusting that we can handle whatever comes our way.
And remember, you're not alone in this. We're all navigating the ups and downs of life together.
That's a great reminder. So to all our listeners out there, as you start this new year and every year after that, remember to stand tall, never give up, and keep reaching for your dreams.
And if you ever need a boost, come back and listen to this deep dive again.
That's it for today's deep dive, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.